You ever picked up a bag of store-bought beef jerky and realized that you just paid filet mignon prices for something that tastes like a leather belt that a truck driver wore through the Reagan administration? 23 bucks for a couple pieces of boot leather soaked in sadness and preservatives. And it's gonna have you gnawing on it like a goat eating a license plate. Store-bought beef jerky is not a snack, it's a survival gear. You don't enjoy it, you endure it. And I'm not gonna endure it, I'm gonna fight back. I'm going to show you how to make beef jerky on the Weber Smokey Mountain so that you don't have to pay cocaine prices to enjoy beef jerky. Hey, I'm Joe, and this is Fork and Embers. This is my barbecue channel where I provide recipes, history, and probably a few jokes that I shouldn't be allowed to say on YouTube. So, if you want a barbecue channel that keeps you on your feet and keeps you guessing, subscribe. Today we're making beef jerky on the Weber Smokey Mountain. It's a perfect snack, high in protein, low in guilt, and it's only dangerous if your blood pressure already hates you. It's perfect for fishing trips, deer camps, long road trips, or just sitting in your recliner, rewatching Varsity Blues for the umpteenth time, realizing that you peaked in high school. So we're gonna be making two beef jerkies. One's gonna be a crusted black pepper jerky. It's salty, peppery, and chewy enough to probably replace your gym membership. The other one's gonna be a bourbon brown sugar candied jerky. Glossy, boozy, and is guaranteed to spike your sugar levels faster than eating a funnel cake at the county fair. Now all my recipes are on Patreon. You can go download them there. They're not behind a paywall, so you're welcome. Now let's go ahead and make something that you're gonna have to hide from everyone in your house. All right, so today, the type of meat we're using is bottom round roast. You don't wanna get a meat that's too fatty, but you also don't want a meat that is too lean. I know a lot of people say to use a super lean meat. I would prefer something with some really good marbling. So that's why I went with something with a little more marbling. They say that your fat can go rancid. I've never had that problem. Fat going rancid in the smoker. I mean, how fucking long are you smoking? Like how low of a temperature for your food to go bad? Maybe there's a science behind that I don't really understand. If there is, I'll put something right here that said I'm wrong. Something else that I did is I froze these for about 4 or 5 hours. So when I bought these, they were completely thawed. I froze them because I need to be able to slice them pretty thinly, and it's hard to do when the damn thing is moving all over the place. So if you freeze it, you're gonna have something that you can actually cut against. So these things are about 2 pounds each, but the Weber Smokey Mountain will only hold about 1.5 pounds on each rack. So I'm not gonna end up using all this, but I'm gonna go ahead and marinate it all anyways. What I've done here is I've written pepper on this bag because this one's gonna be our pepper version. I've gotten them mixed up before. So what we're gonna do for the pepper version is we're gonna actually cut with the grain. The reason I like to do that with the pepper version is because I like for it to be a little bit stringier. I like to, you know, have something to chew on. So if you don't like that, cut across the grain. It's not that big a deal. First thing I'm gonna do though is take some of this fat off. Don't throw it away. I like to render it down. We can use that later. Let's go for about 1/4 inch sliced. You know, I know people that'll go out and buy a slicer, $500 or whatever, and use it to make jerky. You don't have to do that. Freeze it, and it cuts perfectly. Now this roast has pretty much 2 cuts to it. This side over here, not exactly sure the name of it, and then this here. This is going along the grain. This piece here that's separated by this piece of fat is actually going across the grain. But you know what? When you go to the butcher, you go to Walmart, Kroger, wherever you're buying your meat, you buy what they got. Jerky, not supposed to be this super complicated thing. Shit, you can buy whatever, ribeye, if you want a little bit fattier meat. Now, once I start getting to the end here, I won't actually use it because it kind of is harder to cut. So I actually dice this up, use it like a protein bowl, something like that. I like when you get the big sheets of beef jerky. For me, you know, I like it a lot better. I don't like little nugget pieces of beef jerky. You know, when you ask people for a piece of beef jerky out of their bag and they give you a little fucking nugget out of it, you're like, come on, man. Give me a piece like that. I want a piece that big. So that's plenty. Put this in the refrigerator, and then I'll get the other roast and we'll cut that up. Now this one, we're gonna cut a little differently because it's gonna be more candied, to have like a little bit of a glaze to it. It's gonna be more sugary. And I don't wanna be sitting there pulling and fighting with a piece of jerky that's got sugar all over it. So we're gonna cut this across the grain so that it breaks apart, you know, pretty quickly and easily when I bite into it. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this piece of fat off here. Don't need that. And then we're gonna get some really nice cuts out of this one actually. Squared it up a little bit better. Perfect. This is my wife's favorite here. And you know, she's not a fan of bourbon. I know. And she's from Bardstown, and that's crazy, right? Bourbon capital of the world. Don't like bourbon. But she loves this stuff right here. So if you got somebody in your household that ain't a bourbon fan, just tell them that this shit tastes like bourbon and they won't eat it. You ain't gotta hide it. Also, getting a bigger cleaver style knife like this helps with getting a more even cut all the way down. So you don't end up with real thick and then thin. Otherwise, you're gonna have some trouble when you go to smoke these and you're having to pull some before others. But yeah, after you make this, you won't be buying store-bought beef jerky anymore. You know, that shit is crazy expensive. You know, we would go to deer camp and you know, you ate the damn beef jerky on the way to deer camp. Wasn't no letting it wait and eat it. Or if you took it to the tree stand with you, you ate it before noon. And you're gonna pay filet mignon prices? That's crazy. I think that right there is good. I don't wanna go too small. We'll throw it in there. Next, we gotta make the marinade. Pretty simple. I'll walk you through it. We're gonna do the pepper one first. This one's pretty simple, straightforward. Now this marinade will do about 1.5 to 2 pounds of beef. We need 1/2 cup of soy sauce, 1/4 cup of W sauce. I'm not even trying to pronounce that. I'm just gonna finish this bottle off. Beautiful. Next, need 2 tablespoons of black pepper, of course. I mean, it is a black pepper beef jerky. I do some heaping tablespoons, you know what I'm saying? I like it hot. Next up, teaspoon of granulated onion, or you can do onion powder. It don't really matter. 1 teaspoon. We're gonna do a teaspoon of paprika. And I'm actually gonna be doing a smoked paprika, not for any particular reason, just because that's what I grabbed and brought out here. Next, we're gonna do garlic powder. Do a teaspoon of that. Take a drink. Next up, like you need it, you know, a teaspoon of salt. Perfect. Next, all you want to do is mix it up real nice. Make sure this is the pepper one. Yep. Pour it in there. Push all that air out. You know. Get a bag that don't rip. Son of a bitch. See if I got another bag in here. No, sir, I do not. I'll get another bag, put it in there. But put it in the bag. Make sure all the marinade gets on everything. What I like to do is for the next 24 hours while I marinate this, every, I don't know, 8 hours or whatever, go in there and change the bag's position a little bit. You know, just move it around. But if you don't, fuck it. It's gonna be fine. I'll put that in a new bag. Let me show you how we're gonna make the bourbon one. All right, fellas. Actually, and ladies. Turns out like 3% of my audience is women. Probably Jethro on his wife's account. This one, pretty sugary, tastes amazing. And we're gonna be starting off with 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Go for whatever bourbon you want. If you want some cheap shit, go for cheap shit. It don't matter. Like, I got some Colonel E.H. Taylor here. Good shit. It was a gift. You see here. About gone. I got some Eagle Rare here. I'm kind of torn. But I need to do, we're not putting the Weller in there. Let's do this Colonel E. Taylor here. Put some, about a cup in there. We're going to do a cup. And I'll probably have to use a little bit of that Eagle Rare actually. All right, there's a half a cup. Put this up here with the collection. Guess we're gonna have to throw some Eagle Rare in there. If we're a little short of a cup, I'm not gonna be mad at it. Damn, it's pretty perfect. Alrighty, put that up there with the collection as well. Got Buffalo Trace, Sazerac Rye, Eagle Rare, more Buffalo Trace. Now we got some Taylor up there. Pour the cup of soy sauce. Need that salt, right? So we got the salty, we got the sweet. Now we gotta go with the heat. It's not that spicy. Chipotle sauce. You can get this at Walmart. If you can't find just the sauce, you can get the chipotles with peppers, blend it up, pour it in there. Now this is gonna give it a little bit of heat, but also the color. The color is gonna be beautiful. Gives a really nice dark red color. Adds a really nice depth of flavor too. It's gonna be something you ain't had before. Next up, need a tablespoon of W sauce. With as much bourbon as I had, I don't even know if I should have attempted Worcestershire sauce. I've heard people call it in Alabama, wash your sister sauce. You know, we're in Kentucky. I don't know if I can say a whole lot. All right, people, so next up, put you a teaspoon of garlic powder. Then again, we're gonna go to the smoked paprika. Let's do a teaspoon of that. Again, for some really nice color. This will actually give it a little bit smoky flavor, but it's going on the smoker. So use regular paprika if you don't have smoked paprika. I know that shit can get expensive. And lastly, we're gonna do a teaspoon of salt. All right, move some shit out the way. Make sure that's the bourbon one, yeah. I mean, gotta be, right? Now, being very careful, squeeze the air out of that. When you put that beef in there and you layer it and layer it and layer it on top of each other, it makes it harder for the marinade to get to it. So make sure you squeeze those to move them around. Squeeze them like it's prom night, you know what I'm saying? So, 24 hours, you can do 12 to 24 hours, whatever time allots. Damn, that's loud. You know, perks of being a tourist town is you get a lot of bike riders coming through. But 12 to 24 hour marinade time. Leave it in the refrigerator, obviously. I don't know why I gotta say that, explicitly gotta say that, because people ask me some weird ass questions in the comments. Like I was air drying a chicken, like air brining it, and it was a 2-day process. And they're like, do you keep the chicken in the refrigerator? No shit, Jeff bro. But I'm gonna see you in 24 hours. But TV time, probably be about 2 seconds. Well, it's the next morning. Probably been about 12 hours. So it is in the AM. So don't have the bourbon out. Got my good old fashioned coffee. Got my workout in this morning. Feeling good. So what we need to do with this is dry it off, obviously. So this is the bourbon one. We'll start with that one. Now what I like to do is get me one of these metal racks here. I mean, they're cheap as shit on Amazon, but I like to use them for a couple reasons. One, it helps dry this off a lot better than just placing it on this tray here. But also, when I'm going to put it on the smoker, I can make work of it really quickly instead of standing there with the, you know, the lid off for 10 minutes while I lay each individual piece of jerky on the grate. Just layer those on there best you can. What doesn't fit, you can either lay on the sides of the Weber Smokey Mountain, like on the grates, or just make a second batch, you know. Now, there are mechanisms out there you can buy that allow you to hang the beef jerky if you want to do that. I don't really think it's necessary to buy a bunch of fancy shit if you don't have to, especially when the whole point of making this jerky is to save some money. Give them a little bit of room. You know, if they're overlapping, it's not gonna dry out perfectly. Perfect. Get you some paper towels. What we need to do here is we wanna dry these out as good as we can. The reason you wanna do that is because if you keep all that moisture on there, it's gonna add quite a bit of time to your dehydrating process. So get as much off of it as you can. You know, you don't need to wring it out like it's a damn washcloth or nothing. Just get all of the surface moisture off of it. And that right there is great. Now we're gonna do the other side. A little trick here. I bought a bunch of these because like I said, they're cheap. Just set it on top there. Flip it over, look at that. more than a hat rack, you know what I'm saying? Do the same thing. Give it one good once over. All right, so what I'm gonna do is set these in the refrigerator, and we're gonna do the black pepper one. It's gonna be a little different, but for the most part, it's the same. All right, this is the bag that busted on me. Damn, that's the bag that busted on me yesterday, so it's double bagged. Same thing, get you a tray and get you a rack. Now these were cut really big, so yeah, look at that. That stretches across the whole wire rack. That's what I like right there. If you have a fattier beef jerky, you're gonna want to run the smoker just a tad bit higher just so it renders a little bit better, but I like a little bit of fat in my beef jerky. I did do some research last night after I said that I didn't understand why your meat would go rancid in the smoker. The trick is doing it at a little bit higher temperature. So you're probably looking maybe more like, 190 to 200 at the max. We're gonna be running the Weber Smokey Mountain about 180. But if I feel like the fat won't render out, we'll just, we'll run it, at 200. It's not rocket science, folks. If it was, I wouldn't be doing it. We got an old man that helps us on our historic home here, and that's what he says all the time. I have to shout him out, Eddie Black. So next up, just get some paper towels, do the same jig that you did with the other one. Pretty good. Now before we flip it, what we're gonna do is hit it with some pepper. Now I like it to be like a crusted pepper, you know what I'm saying? I like it to be a little spicy. If you don't put pepper on it, or just put a lot less pepper on it. Make sure you're using coarse pepper, not that table ground shit. The texture, everything will be off. Perfect, perfect. That one's pretty dry. More pepper. I mean, beef, pepper, smoke. That's a pretty nice trio right there. That's a lot of pepper. I'm gonna set this in the refrigerator, and then I'm gonna tell you how we're gonna use the Weber Smokey Mountain. Now, a lot of people struggle to keep the temperature low enough on the Weber Smokey Mountain to make jerky, but I got a foolproof method that's never failed me, and I'm gonna share it with you. What I like to do is I use the snake method. The way that I do it is I set 2 rings of charcoal on the bottom, then I place 1 more ring of charcoal on top of those. You wanna make sure that the ring doesn't fully close, leave a little gap in between them because you don't wanna be burning from both ends. I'm gonna be using cherry wood, so I'm gonna cut down some wood today to use in the smoker. You can use whatever wood you want, oak, hickory, mesquite. I mean, this is beef, so it's gonna take the smoke really well. You wanna take 2 to 3 pieces and place it at the start of the charcoal ring on the side that you plan to light. You wanna take a handful of charcoal, I'd say 5 to 8 pieces, put those in a chimney starter, light them. Once they're lit, place them at the beginning of that charcoal ring and throw the cooking chamber on. Keep the water pan in it, but don't put any water in it. We don't want to introduce any moisture because that's just going to extend the time that we have to dehydrate the jerky. Then throw your lid on and make sure that that top vent is open only a 1/4 inch. For the 3 bottom vents, you want to make sure that those are closed completely. Now, we don't run much risk here of the charcoal going out because the Weber Smokey Mountain leaks like a cheap water hose. What will happen is your temperature will probably stabilize around 150 to 160. So at this point, go ahead, take your jerky and put it on the smoker. I like to put the bourbon jerky on the bottom, and then I'll put the pepper jerky on the top rack. Don't stand there looking at it too long, because if that temperature comes up, it's hard to get it back down. So go ahead and throw your lid on and give it a few minutes and see where those temperatures stabilize at. What we want to do is bring the temperature up to about 180. If you stay under 200, you're good. So you might have to start adjusting some vents on the bottom, opening the top vents. It takes some finagling. But there's no one trick that's going to work for everybody. So mess around with the vents, barely opening them a little bit at a time. Give it some time. If you open up a vent and it doesn't shoot up immediately, that's fine. Just give it a couple minutes. So then you're going to smoke for about 4 hours, and after that, start checking the jerky every 30 minutes or so. What you're looking for is a piece of jerky that's pliable enough to bend and barely breaks, but not so stiff that it breaks in half when you bend it over. Once you're happy with the texture of your jerky, go ahead and remove that pepper jerky, take it inside, let it rest, and then take that bourbon jerky and place it on the top rack, because we're going to finish it off with a brown sugar bourbon glaze. Very simple. Take a 1/4 cup of bourbon, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of honey, put it in a saucepan, simmer it down until it's a thick syrup, and put a light coating on the jerky. Then bring your temperature up to about 225. You want to finish it off for 20 to 30 minutes, or until you're happy with how the sugar has set up on the jerky. At that point, you're done. Okay, we did it. Probably took a total of about 6 hours. Because these were a little thicker and had a little bit more fat, it just took a little bit longer. I did run around 180, 185 pretty much the whole time. They're all looking really good. That sugar has set on these perfectly. Now I've had these a lot, but I'm still going to taste test it for y'all. So you can tell it's got that perfect bend to it. Breaks, but doesn't snap completely off. That's exactly what you want. You want something that's a little bit more pliable, but not so much that you're eating, you know, a piece of cooked bacon. That right there is perfect. Sitting in the tree stand, running everything off. This right here, one of my favorite beef jerkies. It's got that stringy texture from where we cut it along the grain. Very simple, old-fashioned smoked peppery crust. Now, you'll notice pepper's gonna fall off of it. That's why I add so much to it. Now, this one right here is something that I've come up with recently in the past couple months. I wanted to find a way to implement some bourbon into a beef jerky, but you'll see that this has a great texture, snaps just enough. It's got that nice little tacky texture to it. Damn, that's crazy. That's one of the better batches that I've made. I like that right there. Where we cut across that grain, this thing right here is perfect. It breaks off in good little pieces. You ain't gotta sit there and fight with it. And that's it. Real deal beef jerky. Not that gas station scam. You got black pepper for the chew and that bourbon brown sugar for the sweet tooth. Now you can keep this in the refrigerator if you wanna make it last a little longer, but let's be real. We're gonna eat this all in one sitting. Recipes and notes are on the Patreon. I'm Joe, this is Fork and Denvers. If you like my shit, hit the subscribe button. I'll see y'all next time.